Live from Fargo and serving you on TV, online, and on the go. This is Valley News Live at 6.
You're looking at an area in South Fargo where authorities say there's been an abnormal amount of burglaries happening.
If you work, live, or frequent anywhere off of South University Drive, be on the lookout for anything that seems unusual.
There have been an increase in the number of break-ins to businesses and apartment buildings.
Valley News Team's crime and safety reporter Nicole Johnson shows us the crime hotspot police are warning about and what extra security measures they're recommending.
To visualize the area where thieves have been particularly taking advantage of people, take a look at this map. South of I-94 along University Drive, many apartments and businesses have been hit by burglars. Keep in mind, it's mostly north of 40th Avenue. One of those break-ins happened here. Dakota Monument Company got pretty lucky, actually.
You can see this is where, fortunately, the door was locked, but they actually have the pry bar and tried to break all this out.
Thankfully, the criminal didn't get inside, but they went to a lot of trouble trying.
So they could have gone through the front gate over by Called Carpet.
Whoever did it had to hop the fence to get to the back door.
That's locked up every night as well.
They didn't take anything back here. Everything of value weighs well over 100 pounds. However,
so that's the picture of the door right after.
This damage drove the company to make some security changes. Changes you might want to consider too.
These little plates are designed to cover up the gap.
Locksmith Todd Ladwig and police want businesses and apartment buildings to add these strike plate covers, which prevent someone from prying open a door. For homeowners, a deadbolt is the best protection. And remembering to lock up your car and garage too.
It is very unusual, but it does happen every once in a while.
For Dakota Monument Company, they're playing it safe. And so is their next door neighbor, Stone Countertop Outlet, who also got hit. In Fargo, Nicole Johnson, Valley News Live.
Ladwig says another common tactic by criminals is buzzing random apartments to get into the locked building. He says unless you know the person, don't let them in. And if you see anything suspicious, call 911.
With the recent uptick in burglaries, we did some digging on how crime rates in the metro compare across the country. 2015 crime numbers from the FBI show 675 burglary reports in Fargo. Now that's a rate of 5.7 per every 1,000 people. Moorhead is at 3.4, and West Fargo stands at 4.43, while the national average is at 4.9. The numbers are similar for property crimes like theft and stolen vehicles, with Fargo slightly above the U.S. average and Moorhead and West Fargo slightly below.
The week is off to a great start. In fact, it'd be nice to string a few days like this together. Let's toss it over to Robert for a look at what you can expect tonight. Robert?
Yeah, and I think we will string a few of those days together. This evening is still very nice out there, albeit a touch breezy in some locations. Temperature-wise, we're still in the 60s across the board. That's 67 in Fargo. That's 11 degrees above our normal high for today. Temperatures elsewhere, 62 in Baudette and Bemidji, 63 in Wadena, also 63 in Devil's Lake. Winds, they've started to subside just a bit, and they'll become lighter overnight tonight, but pick up again tomorrow out of the south and southwest, 10 to 20 miles per hour with some stronger gusts. Just a few clouds out there, mainly some high cloudiness from time to time, and with hardly a cloud out there, well, no precipitation to worry about, and we're not going to have to worry about any this evening here in Fargo. A nice evening, dipping down to around 60 around the 7 o'clock hour, upper 50s at 8, mid 50s at 9. We do have some nice days on that 7-day forecast, but we've got some cooler temperatures and a little bit of unsettled weather to talk about as well, and we'll detail all of that coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, thank you, Robert.
A man suffered serious burns but is expected to survive after a house explosion in Stearns County, Minnesota. The 80-year-old man told authorities he smelled gas when he came home last night. The explosion occurred shortly after he began cooking supper. A neighbor helped him get out of the home, which was fully engulfed in flames when firefighters arrived.
Preliminary numbers from the state show that fewer emergency teacher certifications have been issued in areas of teacher shortages this year in North Dakota compared to last year. The North Dakota Education Standards and Practices Board released data showing that there were 25 alternate licenses distributed for the 2017 to 2018 school year. Those licenses were issued through an emergency measure that allows people without a teacher license to teach for a year. It's unclear why the numbers dropped, but it could stem from North Dakota's new law that increased teacher flexibility and federal legislation that loosens regulations on teacher licensing.
Minnesota U.S. Senator Al Franken says the president's executive order on health care will have terrible consequences. President Trump insists the order would make health care more affordable for the American people. Senator Franken says what the president is doing does not make sense, adding that the changes will be especially hard on those who suffer from pre-existing conditions.
The combined result of the executive orders, if those are carried out, and of eliminating the cost sharing will have a terrible effect on Minnesotans.
President Trump said he will stop making scheduled payments to insurance companies. These payments help insurance companies lower deductibles for low-income customers. Senator Franken said he hopes negotiations will continue in Congress.
As part of International Infection Prevention Week, the North Dakota Department of Health is trying to raise awareness to antibiotic resistance. The World Health Organization says the misuse of antibiotics is making it harder to fight infections like pneumonia and tuberculosis. The Department of Health says to prevent antibiotic-resistant infections, only take antibiotics when they're needed to treat an illness. If you are prescribed antibiotics, only use as directed by your physician. Washing your hands frequently prevents germs from entering the body, and if you're able, make sure your immunizations are up to date. A Johns Hopkins study found that 20% of adverse drug effects were caused by antibiotics when the person did not need them.
Some Minnesota parents are banding together to try and change state policy when it comes to the custody of American Indian children. They say Minnesota is not following federal policy and children are not being properly protected. The families say instead of being heard in state court, their custody cases are going straight to tribal courts, and the non-native parent isn't getting a fair shot. The Department of Human Services guide suggests custody disputes should go to tribal counsel, but new lawsuit argues that this is not how federal law works. These cases should first go to state court, and then a parent could object against it, ending up in tribal court.
You're trying to fight for your right to be a parent and to protect your kid, and that's just not what the framework is set for over there.
DHS says that they have not seen a lawsuit filed, so they have no comment.
A new study shows renewable energy jobs in Minnesota grew by 16% from 2015 to 2016. The research by Clean Energy Economy Minnesota says there are about 6,200 jobs in the state in renewable energy, most in solar or wind power. Some traditional energy sectors, such as coal mining, have seen a decrease of jobs. In Minnesota, 6 coal-fired generators are set to close over the next decade. The coal plants are a major emitter of greenhouse gases. The Star Tribune reports the fastest growing occupation in the nation is a wind technician. Workers willing to climb hundreds of feet in the air to keep turbines running smoothly are in high demand. Students in wind power training programs in Minnesota are getting jobs as soon as they graduate or even before.
Taking aim on sexual assault later on Valley News Live at 6, what a new program at UND is hoping to accomplish.
Up next, getting enough food on hand to be able to help those locally who will need it later.